Howdy folks, Mark Serbu, gun designer, gun nut. I've got something today that I'm especially psyched out of my mind about. I mean, I don't even know how to describe this. It's you know, just having an engineer looking at this, it's like, yeah, they should have sent a poet.
They should have sent a poet.
Like, if you could take a Swiss person and made him with a space alien, this is what they'd come up with. It's just that amazing. I'm totally joking. It's a typical Royal Nutsedge piece of crap that we had the pleasure of refinishing. Okay, now in reality, it's not that bad. You know, it's got his typical, you know, welding skill here. But yeah, nice porosity, and it's just. But you know, he ground it down okay. Remember that? Grinder and paint make you the welder you ain't. He's borrowed from the Sten Mark III. That's where this came from. The bolt is out of a grease gun, and that's a nice place to start. So obviously it's 45 caliber because the grease gun's 45 caliber. He's got a side folder off of some kind of AK, and that's actually, it's a nice touch. It works well for this. AK pistol grip, AK trigger. We're gonna look inside, and I'm hopefully you're gonna cry with me on what he did with the AK trigger. Mag catch is functional. It's kind of in a bad place, but you know, it's Richard. Yeah, it works. It works. It's just, it's not super easy to, it's not terrible. He made his own mag well. Just pieces of flat, I'm assuming, all welded up and ground down. You know, he's got a TIG welder, but somehow he's like the only person I know that can make TIG welds look like stick welds. Yes, I know I crap all over Richard all the time, but it's okay. I'm helping him, and I'm helping myself with my material for ripping on people. All right, so look, I don't know what this came off of, but this is obviously off the shelf because he doesn't have a lathe and knurling tools. But the spring's a little light. The recoil springs are light, but it works. But it just doesn't have a whole lot of closing force. We're going to go ahead and take these out so you can see what what it looks like inside. You can be shocked as I was. Okay, let's see what wrenchies I have here today. That's a lovely sound. Now when I first took this apart, I heard a funny noise that you're going to hear in a second here. And I was like, what? And by the way, has anyone in the history of the earth used these kind of screws for takedown? I don't know. Anyway, so listen to this noise. Like, what the hell is that? What's that, Richard? I'm like, okay, what did I do wrong? Something went smack. Okay, I wish you could see this. I wish you could see this also. That's oh, can you see that? Maybe, maybe not. And then see that. I did professional laser engraving on the bottom. Richard did his electric pencil engraving here too. But anyway, it's legally marked, and that's all the ATF cares about. I'll tell you what, look at this. That looks like an actual nice weld. Huh. Even a blind squirrel can find a nut now and then, right? Look at that. Not too terrible. He ground it down a little bit, but whatever. It's it'll do. And this, this cutout, I got to give him credit on that. That almost looks good. That too. He obviously is using a file to square off his corners, which is funny because on situations like this, I actually don't recommend you square off the corners because you have stress concentration in the sharp corners. But that's okay. This doesn't have a whole lot of stress there, unlike my ROF, which actually was cracking around there, but it was a lot farther forward. Anyway, so here's what really shocked me. This is like, wow. So what flew forward was this. And if Richard wasn't a maniac, he'd have some kind of a stop here to keep this thing from just flying forward. But when the gun's together, the only thing keeping that down is just, you know, touching the inside of the upper receiver. And, you know, what the heck? If you're an impatient little kid and you got ADD, this is the kind of stuff you do. And you know what? It works. It's not ideal. It's not great to have that smack the shit out of the inside of your receiver every time you open it up. But you know what? Again, it works. And this is funny. He actually just took, you know, this was a trigger and a hammer off of an AK, but he just ground on it and turned his hammer into just a sear to catch the bolt. You know, this is an open bolt gun, fires from the bolt being back, and this is what holds it back. You pull the trigger. Oops, shit. Sorry, Richard. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, so it obviously it's full auto only because there's no way for this thing to jump up and catch it. You could come up with something like that, but it would take more effort than Richard is willing to put in. God dang it. Yeah, I would at least have put some kind of a stop there, but whatever. And the other thing is when you put the gun together now, you gotta have that held in position. Ejector, man, the ejector is huge and sticks up really high. It's like a freaking, I don't know, it's like a dorsal fin off of a freaking orca. But it works. It's got these giant screws in here that together weigh as much as a live round. No, not really. That's kind of cool. He's got a little spring piece of music wire that he did there for the return on that. What else? Oh, this trunnion is attached with that. We didn't weld that, but you can see this is just a piece of plain old square tubing or rectangular tubing. I don't remember which, and I'm sure he ground that by hand to match the contour of the round there. And this is welded on, ground again. But you know what? It's after it's parkerized and everything, and if it's dark out and you're shooting somebody, they're not going to care how crappy this thing looks. All right, so I actually did not put this together myself. I had one of my guys do it, so let's see if I can do it. Oh, yeah, I guess it's gonna work. Yeah, it's not that bad. And of course, these are two different lengths. That's something you don't ever want to do in a gun. Well, depends. Depends. If it needs to be in a particular place. Oh, I bet Edwin couldn't put this together. Edwin, if you think you could put this together, leave a comment. I think Jazz Booty would probably do a better job of it. All right, that's in. I wish I could show you this thing being fired, but you know, they demonetized the video right away. But Richard actually has a channel still, or again, and you can find it. I think I'm not going to put a link to it because I'll get in trouble, but just look up Royal Nunsuch, and he's got videos of him shooting this. And Edwin has shot it into the lake last time we were out there in the desert. I'll have to ask you about that. Richard, did you can you comment on here? Did you bend it up? Just with how did you bend it? Because it actually looks pretty good. I mean, it's kind of almost looks like, well, not professional, but you know, I can see it's not centered, but you know. Fire in the hole! We don't know what happened there, but oh, yeah, don't want to do that. Well, you don't get to see this every day. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Let's try it again. I think I don't know. I think it was too. I'll talk about it in a second. Fire in the hole. Hey, what the hell? That looks like it's aiming. Oh, you know what? Ha! I shoved it in too far that time. Richard, shouldn't be allowed to do that. All right, here we go. Fire in the hole. All right, that's strange. Try again. Okay. Interesting. Didn't really put it in the best light there, did I? Hard to say what was causing that. I think combination of things, but we'll look at it on high speed a little more. Figure it out. So check it out. I've got some great lighting on it today. I don't know. It seems like every other one I do, it's got great lighting, and the other ones are just whatever. But ooh, check this one out. It almost doesn't make it out. It bounces around in there. Now I've seen this before. I think it was with the COVID-19 submachine gun. But yeah, that sucker bounced around back and forth, and finally made it out. But I was on the edge of my seat. Were you? Okay, now here I've even slowed the high-speed video down, and the reason is I wanted you to see the rear end of that cartridge bouncing up and down. It effectively slows the bolt because it slows the round going into the chamber, and that's really interesting. I've never noticed that before, and I've spent a lot of time looking at high-speed video of guns. Now I'm pretty sure this is what caused the screw-up back there at 9 minutes and 20 seconds. You get the round bouncing up and down and slowing it going into the chamber, which slows the bolt down, and then all of a sudden you don't have enough energy to set off the round. So why is that happening, and how do you fix it? Well, the why is not putting the magazine in the proper location, and that's one of the toughest things when you're making your own gun from scratch. You have to get the angle right, and you have to get the position right. How do you know what angle, and how do you know what position? And by position, we're talking up and down and fore and aft. The really good way, I'm sure, is to use CAD with a dynamic solver, but I don't know if I'd trust that 100% because it's really hard to figure out all the variables that go into that. But if anyone out there has tried that out, let me know. What's worked out for me is CAD and then decades of experience and checking it out on high-speed video. Not very scientific, but you know what? It works. Well, that's it, folks. I hope you learned something today. It's even though it's Richard and I'm making fun of him, there's a lot of cool stuff on that. It's nice to be able to just take something, the core piece there, of course, was the bolt from the grease gun. It's nice to be able to take that and just run with it and make your own thing. I didn't even talk about the fact that that's some kind of a Glock clone magazine. So those are everywhere. So he took a bunch of off-the-shelf parts, and forgot to mention too that I machined that barrel for him but it was from a blank that he bought off of eBay or Gunbroker or something. Uzi barrel nut. But yeah, just a handful of common parts and just a little bit of know-how and very short amount of time because Richard doesn't spend a lot of time on his projects. But here we've got a working machine gun that's I'll show here what the rate of fire is because I don't know it at this point because I haven't looked at the high-speed video. But anyway, decent rate of fire, very controllable. It's heavy enough that it's a reasonable gun to shoot. But anyway, thanks Richard for sending that to us to put a finish on, and thank you folks for watching. I appreciate you as always. Catch you next time.